Hi, I'm Nicola.
And I'm Jay Percy.
And welcome to the Afro Animist Podcast.
We are two animists and spiritual practitioners exploring the secular through the spiritual, discussing life experiences through a sacred lens.
Each week we share our experiences and dive deep into everything in life. From philosophy, metaphysics, obeah, occultism, shamanism, culture, healing, nature, animism,
the arts, pop culture, conspiracies, psychedelics and witchcraft. Nothing is off the table in these discussions, which aim to get to the heart of what it means to be spiritual and Afro-diasporic in an increasingly sterile and authoritarian world.
We keep it real whilst exploring the biggest mysteries of our multiverse. Join us holding this space to laugh, cry, debate, build community and tear down oppressive structures.
Welcome to season 2, y'all. Hi. It's so good to be back.
I know, it's been ages, man.
It's been ages, but seeing your face again, it just brings it all back. You know, we're back to the podcast. I'm so happy to be back here.
I know, me too. I have actually really, I've missed it so much. I've missed you so much. It's just been really weird. So first of all, hi everyone. I just want to say, sorry.
Sorry. I'm going to retract the sorry on your behalf because sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
We decided to take some summertime off, some time off for the summer, which has been sorely needed. We'd been doing this podcast since January, as you know, if you've been with us from the beginning, and it hit the middle of the year, and a bunch of life stuff basically started coming up. So we both decided that we should take a bit of a rest, a bit of a break. We've also decided that we're going to take a bit of a break in December too, but we'll get onto that later. What have you been up to this summer, Nikki?
I've been walking my dog.
JJ.
Yeah.
No relation.
That's what I did. Oh, and I had COVID for the second time this year.
For the second time?
Look, I've been doing a lot of stuff, but I don't feel like any of it is really newsworthy, as in people want to listen to it. What did you do? I went to the supermarket. No, it has been a really full couple of months, actually. It has. And, the sorry was this, basically. And it is a sorry, not sorry. But when we were talking about taking a break, I said, yeah, okay, cool. Let's just have a month break. And I'll continue doing everything. Jay was like, cool, you do you. And then that month became 6 weeks. And then it became 2 months. And that's just, sometimes that's how life happens. And that's why... we're talking about rest basically on this episode today because this is one of my big stories, and I feel like it's the same for a lot of people. You need to rest, you want to rest, but actually there doesn't really feel like there's a space, or even when you've sometimes given yourself that space to rest, then your mind tells you should be doing all the other things basically. So even in this couple of months downtime, I don't feel like I've had much downtime. I don't feel very rested because I spent a lot of it thinking about all the things that I really need to do.
All the things you want to achieve.
The things you want to achieve. Yeah. Basically. But what did you do? What did you do in the last couple of months, Jay?
I've had a mad summer. If you follow my personal account at Jay Percy the Artist, you'll see that I've been doing a lot of art projects. So I've been doing an exhibition with an excellent curator called Nefertari, who's all about bringing art to the African diasporic community, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And I've also been doing this huge globe commission. It's a 1.6 meter globe. I don't know what that is in American conversion. Do you guys use inches? Whatever. It's a huge globe.
It's big. It's big.
It's big. It's big. And it was painted as a part of a slavery project with the World Reimagined, who are looking to, bring the conversation about the slave trade, about the Windrush to the table. Because apparently some people don't know what the Windrush was. They don't know too much about their enslaved ancestors. So that project is about building that awareness, and I'm so glad that I could do that through my art because it's such a visual medium. I also got married too. Hey.
Yay, congratulations.
Yeah, thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, the rings, guys, the rings. The rings. Oh, they are gorgeous.
They're a small token that represents the unending circle of love that I've decided to pledge an allegiance to. Does that make sense?
I don't know. It's
There's a guy. We're married. It's good. We've been together. We're basically married. We've been together for 9, almost 10 years. So at this point, it is somewhat a formality. I am a bit more romantic than that, but it was just good to be able to finally like get him in my clutches.
He's mine now. Rings on it.
Yeah.
But do you feel any difference after like doing your vows and everything and having that day?
Do you know what? I didn't think I would, because I thought, we live together. Like, what's the difference? But I honestly feel a lot more settled. As someone with attachment issues and parents that weren't together growing up, I feel like there's a lot of trauma from that that I feel has been like healed through this legal binding to another human, which it feels more relaxed. It feels a lot more relaxed. But to be fair, as soon as I met him, I pretty much picked out my dress and started making my Pinterest boards.
That was 10 years ago, guys.
Yeah.
This is how slow guys move. We're ready. We know from the day before we meet you what the wedding's going to look like.
Exactly. Yeah, it was all planned. So yeah, it was a couple of weekends planning, and yeah, here we are. It's great.
And look, I saw the pictures, guys. She looked phenomenal. I mean, you both looked really good. You both looked really gorgeous. But Jay literally looked like a fucking goddess. I mean, these pictures and the way your veil's going, just like, you know, the foam on the sea, beautiful. And she wore like this crown. Oh my gosh, I'm copying.
The crown was clear quartz. It was. I was so happy with that crown.
It was like perfect on you. Everything about it was perfect. And I am going to steal all of your ideas for, you know, if I ever get married.
I will help you to curate. Anyone out there? I love a wedding. Like, come to me for tips.
new line of business, wedding planning. Oh, it was just, yeah, I'm so, look, you needed the time to go off and do that and actually be able to have the honeymoon, do the show. Look, guys, I'm not even joking. Like, Jay has been so busy. I don't know how she's done it. I'm seriously impressed. But then I guess this does make, we've been talking about human design, and I was talking to Jay about it and saying I wanted to talk a little bit about human design. Neither of us are experts, but the way she goes on proves it to me, proves that it's fact. She's a generator, and that's just that.
Tell us more. What is human design?
Okay, so I should have really looked this up before we hit record again, because I do know, but sometimes I forget the right word. So human design, I think, was kind of like made / channeled by this guy about maybe in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's like a mix. You see how I'm being very uncommittal.
Just throw a dart at some buzzwords.
It feels like it could be about that age. But it's basically an amalgamation of a few things. So I think it covers like the I Ching, it covers astrology. And for me, what I've understood about it is another way to understand your energetic imprint in the universe. So they almost kind of break it down like there's 5 potential categories of human, and then within those 5 potentials, obviously there's loads of like different things that can happen and different subcategories that you will then fall into. And like, I don't really like things that say like this is what you are and that's that, but if I'm honest, when I open up human design, it makes a shitload of sense to me. And they have, I think there's 5. So there's 5. So you've got projectors, generators, manifesting generators, and reflectors, and they're all different. There's different amounts of those people in the world, and basically it's just a way to kind of, for me anyway, it's a way to kind of have another level of understanding about how my energetics work, kind of what I need in regards to business. I feel like that's why it's really popular right now, because it kind of almost has this like business coaching, like, look, this is how you as this person will most likely be successful working in this way or running a business in that way. And for me, I think the thing that I've taken from it the most, I don't know if it's me just having like an extra excuse or if it just is like real, haven't quite figured that out yet, but it's the rest thing. So I'm a manifester, which basically means that, you know, I can have like loads and loads of ideas. I'm like this open channel, like I'm literally throwing them. I'm like, hey, you do this, hey, you do that, let's create this. And then like I normally need someone else to kind of carry that through to completion. And that's I feel like quite an important thing to understand, and also why I feel like you and I work really well together, because of those differences as well. Because I've always struggled with kind of being like, oh, you know, I don't like quitting things. I don't like putting things down, but sometimes I like have to do that. And that's always been an issue for me. And then also the other thing about being a manifester is that your energy just works in a specific way. So you will literally feel like you have all the energy in the world. You are super inspired. You can do everything, make everything, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden your energy just drops off and that's it. You're not doing shit. No one knows how long that period is going to take. It could take a day. It could take a year. I feel like I've been in rest phase for 5 years before, you know, but that again is like another aspect for me that I find really challenging to accept about myself. Like my energy does really do that. Like sometimes I just need to go away, be by myself, not speak to another human being, not look at the phone, maybe Netflix, you know, or maybe just read a book, just be with my own thoughts. And respecting that time, like respecting the downtime, I've always found so hard, because you always feel like, I mean, I literally said it when we started, you always feel like there's something else you should be doing. So it's been a good thing for that.
Yeah. Do generators, I'm a generator. Nikki did my chart. It's another one of my charts that she's done. She's definitely a friend who is going to do your chart.
Look, I did say to you, Jay, by the way, I'm just going to do your human design chart. And you were like, yeah, okay, cool.
I did give her permission.
Always ask permission.
Always ask permission first.
As long as I haven't said no, it's okay.
Basically. So I'm a generator, and I definitely feel like perhaps there's moments where I'm really trying to push for something. I'm trying to get something going, but I keep like coming up against brick walls, when I just like let go. When I go into that sort of more contemplative, resty phase, more things come to me than when I'm necessarily like actively trying to like grind. And I think grind culture is freaking disgusting anyway. But I've definitely seen a lot of good come to me where I sort of retreat a little. Is that something that's sort of integral with a generator type personality?
Oh, I don't know. Let's Google it.
Let's Google it.
Google magic generators. Do you know what your strategy is?
My strategy, sorry, I've just got it in front of me here. My strategy is to respond. Okay.
See, this is where it works. This is like manifestors and generators are supposed to make the best like businesses.
Oh, okay. We're a match made in heaven. Yeah. So is it that sort of responding instead of actively trying to go out of your way to do something that is what keeps you in this sort of like energetic flow?
I mean, maybe we need a guest who really knows loads about this to answer these questions. But I think so. I mean, like, so just pulling up a little bit on Google Magic. What is a generator in human design? So generators represent about 70% of the population. They are the life force of the planet, the builders. They have a defined sacral center. Again, this is very interesting for you, Jay. And an open and enveloping aura that is constantly pulling life to them. Their strategy is to respond as opposed to initiate. So when you go deeper into these things, like it sounds really just like, okay, well, that means you don't do anything. You just respond to things that are being done. But it isn't cut and dry like that.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's more like, so when I was looking at us together as a manifestor and a generator, it's that. So like manifestors are initiators, but we also have to inform. Like that's the strategy of a manifestor. So it's saying, hey, Jay, we're going to make a podcast, although it was the other way around.
Actually, okay, so you say it's the other way around. But I had initially reached out to Nikki because I had started a couple of talks on my Instagram Live, and I realised I thought this would be better as a podcast, like speaking to people on a more regular basis. And I had asked Nikki, would you like to be a guest? And she like politely declined at the time. And
I said, I don't want to be on the internet just talking about a psychedelic show. Like,
yeah,
like, that's the only thing I do. Do you know what I mean?
And I went home and I cried and I told everyone how this bitch upset me. No, I didn't. She then got back to me at like probably weeks down the line and had sort of said like...
No, it was like 5 months.
Was it 5 months? As
Yes.
much as 5 months?
It was months, yeah.
And the idea came up of like, well, if you are going to be speaking about this, maybe it should be more of a podcast thing. And I was like, wow, would you do that with me? And it's like, yeah. So this is where we are. So it was a bit of push and pull, but you can definitely see with the human design how she'd put out the signal and I'd sort of gone, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And here we are.
And it's fucking like one of the best ideas ever.
Yeah. Ever.
But yeah, so I don't know. That's why, honestly, that's the only reason I got into human design. Because years and years ago, I love to sign up for things. Anything on Instagram or whatever that says like, here's a free course, yeah, I will sign up for that shit.
Yeah.
So I'd seen something about human design, signed up for it, never opened the email. And then just in the kind of like research and, you know, just seeing what's going on in the world and what's out there in regards to like what you guys want to listen to on the podcast, like this came up. When I started to understand about it in business, I really went into it for you and I. And it makes so much sense because I honestly don't have a friend like Jay in the sense of like I've tried to do things with lots of different people. I know she's very special in many ways. And a lot of the time it just doesn't quite work out. And I know why. It's just because our energy doesn't work well together. We might have great ideas, like we might have amazing conversations even about it, but the actual place where you put it in to get and it works and it happens and it keeps happening, I find quite difficult with like my friendship group. We're all kind of the same in like we're kind of creative out there people.
Yeah.
Which you also are. But I feel like because I went off at 20 and just was like some mad, nutty acting hippie, and you got a job. So there's a difference.
I got a job. I did try the drama thing for about 6 weeks. It's like that whole Ross in Friends storyline where he finishes college and then goes and tries dance and then it flops.
That was so dope.
I tried acting and it flopped.
No, look, 6 weeks is not enough time to try acting. I'm still trying acting 15 years in, babe. That's how long it takes. Like, you were just smart. You just went, do I want to be on toast for a decade or should I just get a normal job and just like actually live life?
Oh my God, the normal job shit though. I mean,
know.
I'm not going to speak too badly about it because it has put food on the table and it has allowed me to like be able to even buy this equipment where we can do a podcast. So it certainly has had a use, but I definitely feel like I've been stifled creatively. And a lot of the rest that I need to take in my life is more often than not because of the day job than it is because of my creative pursuits. If I could have my way, my creative pursuits would just be my whole like 9 to 5, and there would be none of this like admin-y sitting at a laptop stuff because I am just over that. It's just so draining. I feel like I need so much rest from it. And being in that sort of corporate world as well, I am in the corporate world. I work in tech, and it's draining. It's just draining. It's a constant people-pleasy job where you have to make sure all of your clients are happy. You have to make sure all of your team are happy. And then you just need like a nap as soon as you lock off the laptop at 6 o'clock. You just need to sleep right through to the next morning. Which I guess is in part why I needed to take those couple of months off to be able to like recharge mainly from that, because doing that, something that does suck life out of me because I find no joy in it, and then pouring all the little energy I have into everything else that I love, it just meant zero energy. It just nothing. Yeah, and rest. Oh my God, it's so ancestrally needed. How many of our ancestors would have dreamed of being able to just like lock off and have a good rest or time off from, you know, being forced to work. I feel like this need for rest lives in the bones of so many of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's comes from a country that's been, you know, victimized by colonizers like the British.
100%.
Yeah, it's just in our bones to need that.
Yeah, definitely. And it is like, I don't know, yeah, there's just a visceral, I don't know if it's just the world right now, but I feel like I have actually always felt like this, just like an epic level of extra tiredness, basically. I guess there's just so many battles that you're constantly fighting, you're not even aware of, really, in like a subconscious way.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, look, respecting rest is something that I feel like is so part of my journey in regards to all of that, like where I've come from.
I mean, you're a yoga nidra teacher, so
Oh my gosh, I know the things I've chosen as well. I was like, let's do yoga, but let's do it the closest to being asleep that you can possibly find.
Explain a little bit about yoga nidra to anyone that doesn't know what it is.
So yoga nidra is, it literally means like the yoga of sleep, or union of sleep. So it's a form of meditation that is guided by a teacher usually. I mean, you can guide yourself if you know you're in a yoga nidra, and you can keep yourself in those trance states. But basically it's kind of almost like a form of hypnotism. So what we're doing is we're dropping from beta waves to alpha, and then I think theta. So this just basically gives you the chance to go into your visual imagination, or some people obviously like me feel like there's also like an astral traversing that can happen when you're there, and mainly the thing people use it for, especially in the West, is for sleep. So for better sleep, 1 hour of doing yoga nidra properly, and this is yoga nidra where you've remained awake, because it's very easy to actually just fall asleep. It still works, but it's not quite as deep if you do fall asleep. But basically, an hour of that equals a 4-hour sleep cycle. So if you did an hour of yoga nidra properly, then you would be refreshed in the same way you would after a 4-hour sleep cycle. So it's amazing, isn't it?
Where's this been all my life? When are you gonna I was going to say, when are you going to come over? And I don't know if you can tell, but we're in the same studio.
In the same, hi. I keep on looking at you, like, so all the video is going to be but yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, so my whole kind of like spiritual journey, shall we say, or a big part of it, I feel like one of the things I've received over and over and over is that I'm a dreamer. So I mean, I was told that growing, you're, not in a positive way, like,
you're a daydreamer.
You're a daydreamer, blah blah.
You're daydreaming. Pay attention to the front of the classroom.
Yeah. Exactly. But one of the messages I repeatedly receive is that the way that I receive my messages. That makes sense. So I used to have that when I was younger, and I'd have a lot of prophetic dreams, so dreams about things that would come to pass. And when I started doing ceremonies, I remember there was a couple where I started to ask the medicine, like, what is kind of like my magic? How am I supposed to receive these messages? Because people receive things in different ways. They might receive song, and they might, move, or they might play an instrument, or they might, whatever. And so I was just kind of looking for my way. And I literally was just showing images of me lying down and receiving, like, that doesn't sound good. I have to cut that out.
We're not cutting that out. That's staying in. Explain a bit more about what that is, laying down and receiving.
So I get this image of lying down in corpse pose or savasana, so just literally flat on your back. And I'd see this image of like the information coming in from the sky, essentially through my third eye. And that's always been the way for me. Like if I'm channeling or doing things like that, they tend to come when I'm in that space. So when I'm close to sleep, when I'm just in a rest position, basically, if I want to, channel, then I'll lie down. And yeah, I just think there's something in it. We live in a society where everyone is fucking chronically tired, man. We're all exhausted, like, to our bones. Weird shit is happening all the time. The government's fucking lying to us. It's a hard life. And one thing These things are tiring, man. Like
the government is lying
they are
to us
about everything. And you know, we need to learn how to really rest. I feel like this is, you know, you see this in the big self-help movement that's been going on for like the last decade. It's like it's all about how to get good rest, how to sleep, how to like relieve your anxiety. And yet society, the way that society pushes work and everything means that those are still things that we're not very good at doing.
Well, society requires us to be stressed out under this configuration, under corporatocracy or corporocratic capitalism. That is a really hard word. Say that 5 times fast. Corporocratic capitalism. So basically the form of capitalism that we currently have where these big corporations are running things, it requires us to be stressed out because that's what keeps us sick. And when you keep someone sick, it's much easier to sell. That's physically and mentally, by the way. It's much easier to sell to those people. And you know, you can see this from the very ground up. And when you start to look into research from Bessel van der Kolk and Dr. Gabor Mate, who do a lot of research around how stress affects the body, just even in the choices you make. So, you know, you're stressed out from a long day at work. You don't want to cook that evening. You're going to go to a big corporation to get a burger from them. You're going to eat that. That perhaps isn't so great for you. You're going to scoff that down quite quickly while you're watching the latest shitty dating show on television because it's just easy television. It's just, you know, good trash TV. Oh, everyone needs a bit of trash TV. You hear the word trash again and again. You eat trash, you watch trash, you veg out on the sofa, you start to really lose your life force and energy because night after night that becomes a habit because it sort of requires that you do more of that. It's sort of a monster that needs to be fed with that sort of sloth. And next thing you know, you are not quite understanding why your mental health is declining because, you know, the serotonin that's produced in your gut is being destroyed. The type of programming that you're receiving from the television tells you that you're too fat or you're too skinny, you don't have enough arse. And then you go out and you go and buy the bikini from another corporation that makes you look a certain way. You go out and you get the pills that you need to get in order to get your brain back to a level of function that it would be if we were interacting with our close tribes of 150, if we were, you know, interacting with those tribes to produce healthy, fresh food that isn't being sprayed with Teflon or glyphosate or whatever else it's being sprayed with. You know, these things really feed into each other. So it keeps this sort of beast alive by not resting. I think one of the most revolutionary things that we could possibly do is to all, you know, collectively sit down and go, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to work today. With the electricity and overall energy prices, they're tripling here in the UK at the moment, which is absolutely disgusting. They're saying it needs to triple because, you know, the cost of living is just going up. So with this cost of living crisis suddenly spiraling, there's now a call in like the comment sections of a lot of these political social media pages, you know, general strike now. General strike now. I agree. The best thing that we could possibly do right now is to all take a collective Monday off work. Everyone and say, I'm not going in. I'm not going in until I'm not buying. I'm not going in and creating value. I'm just going to sit at home and I'm going to read the books that I already have. I'm going to go out and see some friends. I'm not switching my television on. I'm not putting my music player on, my streaming music player on. I'm going to put my old vinyls on. Like, I think that's the best thing that we could possibly do. I'm going further than just not turning up to work. I think there could be a whole day of just cutting the system down.
I love this.
I think rest is probably, it's so revolutionary, but it's a tool that collectively, I don't think we're going to agree to all do at once, because you're definitely going to get people who go, well, no, that's just the world. That's just the way things go. I mean, yeah, it is just the way things go. If you keep saying that's just the way things go, anything's going to go just the way things go if you assert that it's just the way things go. I went on a tangent, a political one there, but general strike now.
General strike now. I literally, when you first started saying that, I was like, yeah, I thought you was going to say we just all need to like just like not get out of bed one day, and then you just went like so deep. And I'm here thinking, wow, protest. Everyone, we've been telling everyone to wake up, but maybe we should all be going to sleep. Oh my god!
Yeah, go on the streets and march. Like, no, we need to respond.
Stay in bed. Have a fucking lion.
Read a book.
Read a book.
Draw, colour. Go find the scraps out of your bin and glue that together and make a sculpture. I don't know. You'll find something. There are loads of free things to do out in nature that literally do not involve you getting on a train, paying a train company, listening to your music, playing a stream service. I mean, here we are saying this. So
yeah, I mean, just you know, maybe keep Spotify.
I do not mind if the Spotify goes down for like a day or a week.
Right, just be careful what you're saying there. Literally, this is we're just gonna disappear, guys. Just to let you know.
I think you bring up a brilliant point there, though. There is this sort of like primal fear. If we were to pull a rug on all of these things, you know, what meaning would that take away from the lives that we have constructed around these things, which now have meaning in our lives?
100%. I mean, even when you said about, you know, like watching some trash TV and having a burger, and I was like, that sounds like an epic Friday night to me.
It does, doesn't it? It absolutely does. But how much of that are we doing to a level where we're just cutting ourselves off spiritually entirely?
1,000%. This whole like Netflix and chill. Like I remember when that like term started coming around, and it was like, yeah, let's Netflix and chill, man. Now it's like, it's an effort not to Netflix and chill. I feel like everyone every evening is like, there's something we can do that isn't Netflix and chill. It's like we've forgotten. The other day I picked up a book. I literally used to read a book a week. I love to read it. It's like one of my favorite things to do. You know, and I picked up a book the other day and I was like, oh, what is this paper? Wow, it smells like a book. Like, wow. Like, just that. Being able to feel the grain. Yeah. And yeah, it's just like the way that we've adjusted, I feel like, especially, you know, kind of our generation cut off.
Yeah.
So even in the last like 10, 15 years of the way technology has changed and how integrated it is in our lives right now, has completely, as we all know, it's completely changed the way we live. And really, I feel like is one of the biggest things, like you're saying, for stopping us from being able to rest. So, you know, like what I'll do now if I want to chill is, you know, I might just sit there. I've got a really good game I'm playing on my phone at the moment, which makes me feel really smart, called Soda Sort. It's just like a puzzle game. You know, but I'll sit there and I'll do that, and then I'll realize I've been playing this game for an hour. My eyes are tired, my head is tired, like I'm all like, I haven't actually switched off and wound down at all. And it's like, but it's kind of like, well, what would I do to relax if it wasn't like flicking through Instagram or playing that game? I'm like, wow, fuck. I used to go read a book and have a bath. I used to just be able to sit for a minute and not be overstimulated, whereas it's like this, it's almost like you kind of need this level of overstimulation. You're so used to it, to that fucking blue light. I remember one time when years ago, before everyone had an iPhone, and my shamanic teacher, I know, probably everyone did have an iPhone then, I'm not that old. But my shamanic teacher was saying to me, you know, your phone is a drug. And I was like, oh God, you know, just like, okay, well, this is just, you know, she's older than me, so it's just, she doesn't get what a phone is. But, you know, she explained it's like the blue light. She's like, it literally affects your brain in the same way as cocaine. Yeah. So do you find yourself just taking your phone out and looking at it, just taking it out, looking at it? I literally will check the time on my phone like 17 times an hour. Yeah. And it is pure, you know, I'm not even conscious of it, but then, you know, I realize what that is. It's me getting a hit. Yeah. It's me getting a hit of the blue light. And then I'm overstimulated and I can't actually relax.
My husband, he complains a lot about this because I will be just sat there scrolling sometimes, and he will see that. And then other times when I am pulling out my phone for business purposes, he will he will definitely be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm working. I'm doing something." But I think it's just that action of having this handheld drug in front of me, and there are so many things in this society we don't think of as drugs. We don't think of as coffee or sugar as a drug. We don't think of meat as a drug. We don't think about how these things alter states of consciousness. But the phone is just another one of those things. If something you interact with changes your inner chemistry in such a violent and sudden way, then surely that's a drug. This acts like a drug. They're designed to keep you hooked on dopamine, and I work in tech. I know how these things are designed. I often come across baby posts or something where there's always this conversation between mums about whether or not to have kids on a tablet, and you'll have people in the comments saying, "Well, you don't have kids yet, so you don't have kids, so how can you speak on that?" I don't have kids, but I work in tech, and knowing what I know from working in tech, I would not be giving my children a device. I just wouldn't be doing it. There aren't enough longitudinal studies for me showing the long-term effect on our species, let alone an individual child. It's a hard no for me. I know how it draws me, and I wouldn't want to get any other human hooked on that at an early age. It just doesn't seem right to me. It seems like a recipe for avoiding rest.
And you know Steve Jobs, good old Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He I saw a documentary once, or an article, interview with him, and he said that his children were not allowed any devices. So the guy who's literally making your fucking iPhone and iPad, his children are not allowed to touch an iPad.
Yeah.
Like, when you hear that shit, you're like, wow.
Maybe I'm missing something here.
Yeah. But the damage is done. Let's just watch Love Island.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? This isn't an anti-tech rant. I think it's given us a lot of benefits. I literally wouldn't have met you, Nikki, without the tech.
100%.
I do think it is important that we do openly discuss these things, and I think you can discuss these things while using these platforms, because it helps us to develop thought. It helps us to develop new ways around things, so that we can actually advance our species instead of regressing us as a species, which sometimes I really do feel like we're regressing. And I do feel like we're regressing by not appropriately utilizing rest.
No, I totally agree with that.
Because in your dream state, that's where you work out so much of the subconscious. When you're not doing busy work all of the time, that's when you have the opportunity to let your brain just relax. You let your brain undo its trousers at a family dinner. That's what you let it do. And you need to be able to do that so you can stay happy and joyful and generate new ideas. Not generate ideas, let ideas come to you, or be in a space to receive ideas. When someone comes to you and go, "Oh, I think we should be doing this thing," you go, "Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's go and do that thing." And you absolutely can't do that if you are not well rested.
No.
You're absolutely not able to do that. And it shortens your life too.
Well, of course it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also, you've touched on something really interesting, something that I think is really interesting. And I actually really take as a truth for my life, that in a lot of the traditional Indigenous practices or religions, they believe, so the Aborigines believe this, I think the Maori, and also the Toltec Mexicana, that there is that your dream world is the real world, and this one is not. Everything that's going to happen to you in your life, you will experience first in your dreams. And I think that's a very interesting concept, so the whole thing is, if you can become in control of your dream world and lucid in your dream world, then you can have a greater level of control over your life, because you'll be able to manage it from there. So from doing the shadow work in the dream world to actually maybe understanding what your interactions with other people are like, or knowing that you're going to meet this kind of person in the next few weeks. Like literally the levels are insane. And I also feel like that's a reason why rest is not taught or promoted in a good way in our society, because there is something in it. If being able to access your dream world really gave you true access to a sense of control and power over your own life, of course they want to keep that shit from us.
Yeah.
I'm feeling quite conspiratorial today.
Yeah, and when we say conspiratorial, if you're a new listener, conspiracy being the idea that people congregate to do something that is against the good of mankind, not conspiracy theory in terms of a catch-all term that just labels a tinfoil crazy hat person. Not the right order of words, but whatever, you get what I mean. I don't think it's so ridiculous to understand that there are some humans who are psychopathic enough to find their way into positions of power in order to execute their own will. That's just a fact of life on this planet, it seems. You'll see people do this in gangs, and then sometimes you'll see people do this in state-sponsored gangs, and which state-sponsored meaning they will join the government and they will form their own cliques and their own systems to better their own life, to better their own mates, instead of the constituency at large. That's what we mean by conspiracy. So when we say conspiracy, we mean this wholeheartedly. I just thought I would let you know.
We needed that explanation. So my mind was going off like literally into like government figures, like the bullshit of the potential prime ministers. Anyway, we're not going to go there today. That is not this episode.
Not this episode.
But I know, dear listener, you are crying with me at the potentials of where it's Rishi Sunak or fucking literally. Anyway, so what do we have this season on Afro Animist, Jay? We've got a lot of juicy stuff.
Yes, actually, we had done this episode today wanting to talk a little bit about why we rested, and then we went into a whole 40-minute rant of why it's good to rest.
I knew it. I knew it was going to happen.
She said this is going to be an hour-long episode. But we have some juicy things lined up for you this series. We're going to be talking a bit about kitchen witchery. So that is using magic in the kitchen. So with basic things that you have. So you're not having to go out and buy that expensive crystal. You're not having to go out and buy that expensive ticket to a medicine ceremony. Literally, the soup you are boiling in your kitchen. And we've got some special guests coming on talking around that. We're going to be talking about the mythology of plants, especially our favourite plant here, the plant medicines. I'm excited about that.
I'm very excited too.
We're also going to be doing some talks around, the more ancestral magic. We have some guests coming on talking around that. We've got lots of guests this season.
We do have lots of guests, yes.
I think one of them I'm quite excited about. I'm excited about all of them, but we're going to be talking about sort of holistic versus holistic or big pharma medicine, because we're now in a space and time where we're getting increasing access to understanding how holistic medicine can actually work in your life, and it can be healing. Are there any particular episodes that you're like particularly jazzed about here?
I mean, I'm quite excited. We're going to have a couple of these guests are actually my cousins, because my family is amazing.
It's just magically connected.
And we're gonna be going back into talking about things like your spirituality in regards to your mental health, your work. I'm really excited about doing birth stories.
Yes.
We haven't gone there yet, and for me, like the birth story conversation was like pivotal in my understanding about myself, like how I came into this world. And we're going to definitely go more into the psychedelics. There's so much more that we want to share with you about that. I'm quite excited about, so we've got another guest coming on, again, a cousin, and this one's going to be all about storytelling. So as an actor, this is the place where I'm just like, oh, I love to tell a story. So for him, it's going to be about his journey through mental health. As a man, what that also means in this world right now, as a creative, as a performer. And yeah, I'm actually really excited about it. I'm so excited. I can't even find words.
We do have a couple of part 2 episodes, because there were some episodes that so many of you just reached out to us and like, we are so glad you spoke about that. I've experienced that, and I thought I was made to feel crazy for talking about this. I'm so glad you guys talked about it. We're going to be doing a Magic of the Womb episode, a part 2, because that was particularly popular. And we really wanted to do an episode around cultural appropriation. We want to do something around, I guess, focusing on cultural appreciation and how we can find ways to be better allies, appreciating other cultures, and learning from other cultures in a way that is non-extractive. Because really, by telling everyone to stay in their lane entirely, I feel personally that we further assert the idea that the only valid culture is that of the mainstream European hegemon, and that is just not true. And it's keeping people in specific lanes in a specific way that really causes the European hegemon to continue to have its cultural supremacy. So that, I think, is going to be quite an interesting debatey episode, because there's going to be a lot of tricky content in there, especially given that we do practice a closed practice, and we wouldn't open that up for anyone.
No.
So yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of useful and fun stuff that we're going to be talking about.
Very excited. So excited.
One thing we did want to start doing each episode is doing a bit of a card pull, perhaps with a new deck that we've got, or throwing some shells as we throw shells. And today I've got a deck called the Chalks of Kikongo. This was a limited print from Aganos Sweet Things. I might be screwing up that pronunciation. Aganos Sweet Things. And I was really happy to have this deck. So I kind of wanted to do a card pull. Bear in mind the usual deck that I use, Hoodoo Tarot. That is my deck. I know that inside out, back to front, upside down. I throw shells. I know that inside out, back to front, upside down. This is a new deck. I have just opened it and I've charged it, but I've only opened it a couple of times. So I think when we pull these new decks that we get, they're going to be more of a bit of fun, as opposed to a serious reading if you were to like pay either of us for a serious reading. Do you have a question for me today, Nikki?
Oh gosh, this is that put on this. I never have a question. Like, I never ever have a question.
Well, maybe you can pull a card for a reader today, perhaps. A reader? A listener today.
A listener. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a bit of channeling here.
Okay. So if this is for you, let us know.
Yeah.
How is this working in your brain, Jay?
Okay. So I'm going to think quite clearly about a face of someone who is listening to this podcast today. And I'm going to pull a card. This is great. I always close my eyes when I do readings. I don't tend to keep them open. It gives me a bit of a clarity, going into that inner world. So this one here. And we pulled a card that says unravel. So let us see exactly what this means. I always love doing these things.
I know, it's so fun.
Where is you in the alphabet? Am I the only person who does the whole alphabet when?
Babe, every single person does that, apart from like a 3-year-old who actually knows the alphabet, because that's what they're learning. We will have to do it. It's near the end.
STTU. I actually say the whole alphabet.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay. So anyone who's watching this and is going to go in the comment section and like, that's not how you do proper reading, like, sue me.
No, don't.
It says, so this is speaking to, I hope this is speaking to the face I'm picturing. If this sounds like it's for you, hold on to it. If it's not, then come back to the next episode. I'm sure we'll have something for you. Often, we must go back to move forward. Reflecting on past experiences with the intent to understand its effect on our psyche and behaviours is vital to our spiritual, emotional, and mental growth. Sifting through childhood wounds and unearthing family and generational traumas are no easy task. Be patient with yourself. Be accepting of yourself. And be honest with yourself. Don't avoid doing the shadow work. Unravel yourself so you continue to create your energetic footprint with clarity. And it's got some deeper questions here as well.
Okay.
How honest are you in recognizing your shadows? How do you grasp the concept of living with and above your shadows? How have you allowed your shadows to control you? Do you transmute the poison into medicine for yourself and others? In what ways is your shadow work also ancestral? I think this is the perfect card to pull, given that we're doing this whole talk with the Magical Women's Conference.
That's what I was just thinking, babe. I was like, whoa, this is where you know magic is real.
We were just talking about the conference before we came on. Nicky, do you want to tell us a little bit about the conference that we're going to be doing on the 15th of October in London?
So yes, we're going to be doing a talk at the Magical Women's Conference, and this year is all about working with the shadow, I think, at the conference. Yeah. So we're doing a talk that is working with shadow through Afro-diasporic spirituality. So it will be about our journeys, basically, what kind of work we do, how we work with the shadow. We might have a practice or two thrown in there for you. It's something that you will be able to catch online, so you don't actually have to be able to be in London or even in the country, which is very, very, very exciting. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like, I mean, I'm very nervous about it. Jay knows this. I'm very, very nervous about it. I'm like, what the fuck am I even fucking doing? But actually, like, literally, this is work that I know.
This is our bread and butter.
This is our bread and butter.
Yeah. We're definitely going to have to do an episode about imposter syndrome, because when we first got the good news that we've got this, and Nicky was nervous, I said, but this is what we do. We literally spend our time. This is what we do. Shadow work is so integral to our Ubia practice. This is going to be an absolute just wonderful opportunity to share what we have learned in order to get out of our own way, basically.
100%.
And do something as simple and impactful as starting a podcast, because this, in the few months that we've been doing it, has seen such growth, and we've seen such community. We've had so many people reach out to us and just go, like, I thought I was crazy, but you know, you spoke about it so openly and normally, and we're so thankful for that.
Yeah.
And that's all about getting out of your own way. And that's 100%. Shadow work. And that's what we do. So come down to the Magical Women's Conference and or watch it online. You can buy your tickets for the online subscription, and then you'll have the whole bank of all of the different talks that will be there from all of the wonderful femme and female magic folk who are going to be speaking about their practices. It's going to be a real spiritual treat, I reckon.
I'm actually just so excited to go.
Yeah.
Like, so once we've done our talk, I'll be like, woohoo, stuff. Like.
So again, that's on the 15th of October. And if you are in the UK, then that's going to be in London. It's going to be somewhere in central London, I believe. If you go onto their website, Magical Women's Conference, that's magic with a MAGICK. So like magic.
The magic way.
Yeah. Magical Women's Conference online. You'll find it. Just Google it, do the Googles, and you'll find it.
And we'll obviously pop all of this in show notes for you guys. And also, again, just send us a DM. Like, we are on Instagram. We are on what's the other one? TikTok.
We're on the TikTok.
We're on the TikTok. It's a bit young for me, TikTok. I'm not quite sure how to do it. And like we were saying last season, we are all about like real life, basically. I know we're talking about magic, but this for us is real life, and we want to hear real stories. So please get in touch if any of this stuff makes sense to you, if you want to ask us some questions, if you want to share some stories, because that's what we're all about, man.
That's what we're all about. We're real humans.
And we're not AI.
We're not AI.
How can we prove that?
How do we know? How will you know? Yeah. I think that's it from us today. We'll see you next time.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, beautiful being of the multiverse, for joining us on the Afro Animist Podcast.
If you want to get stuck into the conversation or have a question about anything we speak about here, join our mailing list and find us on our socials.
On TikTok and Instagram, find us at the Afro Animist Podcast.
On Twitter, you can find us at Afro Animist. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can also find this talk on YouTube. Just search for us and we will pop up as if by magic.
If you're loving what we're talking about here, share, like, and subscribe. And remember to leave us a thumbs up or 5-star rating on your favourite platform.